So this is a different color than all your other scopes, so I'm assuming there's something different and unique about it because it looks substantial.
Yeah, it's a different color because it's a different beast. We've been working on this since before we actually launched Element Optics back in early 2020. It was February 2020, so
Okay.
I mean almost 3 years ago to the day. We started working on this before that, which is crazy. It's taken long because at this quality tier, everything has to be perfect, and we've made sure everything is perfect. And the color just signifies that this is our new flagship, and I think everything that we do in this color from now on, that will be, everyone knows this will be, it's the top level. So this is
I'm going to interject there for 1 second. So I'm looking at this color, I'm like, this will fit perfectly on the custom shop Ruger Precision rifle because it's almost the same silver. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful scope.
Yeah, one of the things we wanted to do is, okay, if we're going to do a different color, it's got to be something that can kind of match anything. And I feel like this is it's not an arbitrary color that's going to clash with something else. It tends to sort of match everything. But yeah, I think it's pretty beautiful.
So walk us through it. I mean, there's a lot of unique stuff just looking at it from the outside.
So this is a 6-36x56, which is quite a versatile magnification range, but very much suited to long-range precision shooting. You're not going to put this on your lightweight hunting rifle, but we've got a 34mm main tube, which gives you 100 MOA or 30 mils of elevation travel. We've got a 56mm objective with ED glass, and the big thing here is really the turret system. The turret system we designed from scratch. As you know, the Nexus, Helix, and Titan, the whole mechanism, the zero stop, everything is quite similar. This is the next evolution, in that this is 100% tool-free. So our other scopes have tool-free resetting, but the zero stop you have to set with your hex keys. With this one, when you reset it, let's say there you want to reset your turret at 0.7 mils. You've got the same tool-free system over here, but when you put it back to zero, like that, and line it up, there's your zero stop set 5 clicks below zero automatically. And we've got a revolution indicator, which is new. When you get over to your second revolution, it flips over and it shows you the number 2. And it does that all the time. So you're never going to get lost and forget which turn you're on. And unlike our other scopes, which move up and down when you dial, this one stays right low at the bottom. So it doesn't climb as you go out. Windage is capped. A lot of the precision rifle shooters have asked for that because they never use them. They tend to hold. But if you want to run it exposed, we include a thread protector ring which fits over here too. So you can run it and it looks like it's made to be an exposed turret if you want to do that. And then parallax is nice and chunky like the turrets, which gives you more control over it. Goes down to 10 meters or yards. And the nice thing about the parallax is, most PRS or long-range shooters are not really going to use illumination. So you don't want that parallax knobs getting in the way of your hand.
And that's kind of like the biggest thing. So I mean, like you have scopes, like you want a nice chunky knob for parallax, but then as soon as somebody adds illumination, the parallax knob becomes so small, and if you're shooting it out in the cold, it's like you can barely grasp it.
Or you end up turning your illumination by mistake while you're doing your parallax. With this, it's a digital illumination. So you hold this in to switch it on for a second, and then you've got 10 brightness settings that you can flick through. When you get to the 10th setting, it flashes once to let you know you're at the top, and then you can switch it off, and when you switch it back on, it'll go back to the same setting you left it on previously. Okay. So that's illumination.
Now, I'm sorry, I don't remember if you caught it or not. Does it have auto turn off? Because people are going to be forgetting.
It doesn't. Okay. Part of the reason for that is if you need to leave it on for shooting at night or for whatever reason, the last thing you want is as you're about to take the shot, it switches off. So we're kind of trusting the user to be diligent in making sure it switches off. I'm sure you will probably forget it on at some point and drain your battery.
And what's the battery life on it, roughly?
I guess it really depends on what setting you leave it on, but during our testing, I've left it on sort of a mid setting for many days, and it stays on. So it's not going to run out quickly if you leave it on. Just be diligent with switching it off.
And I guess, so looking from the side, I was about to say, well, this looks like a great scope, but it doesn't have illumination, and then there's the button right there.
Exactly. It's sort of the secret feature that the guys who don't want illumination can forget that it's even there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're looking at the scope, I mean, is it meant to kind of replace the Nexus? Is it meant to be working with it? And kind of like, what's the target market for the scope?
So the Nexus has always been sort of more a crossover scope where you can use it for precision rifle shooting, but we try to keep it as light and compact as possible with a 30mm tube. So the Nexus, you can shoot a match with it, you can shoot long range with it, but if you want to put it on your hunting rifle, you can. It's 700 and something grams, it's nice and light. Whereas this is purely for performance at long range or at competitions, where you're going to get that a lot of extra clarity. You're going to be able to zoom in more if you need it, and you're going to get the extra performance of our new turret system and slightly firmer clicks and more clicks per turn, all of that.
And I guess, I mean, they're super tactile, and even if you're going, it's very, very tough to overrun it. And that's one of the things sometimes, like, you'll have scopes that do have nice audible turrets, and they might be tactile, but super easy to overrun. And it looks like you have 15 mils per revolution?
12 mils per turn. So yeah, it's German engineered turrets, by the way. We worked with an optomechanical engineer from Germany with decades of experience doing military spec stuff. So it's proper.
Okay. And so I guess kind of like, is a good way of thinking about this is as taking an Element Titan and perfecting it.
Pretty much. The Titan has always meant to be sort of. I guess you can run the Helix as an entry level scope, but if the Titan with the extra, with the better glass and the extra elevation travel has always been more suited to precision rifle. But we wanted to keep it below the $1,000. With this one, it's like, okay, as our flagship, we need to make sure we do everything as good as we can. I still think we've managed to keep it very reasonably priced. $2,800 retail. Compared to the other 6-36s on the market at this level, it's very, very competitive. But I mean, we haven't cut any corners of this at all, so it's right up there.
So we talked about the price. What's the availability, and does it still carry your warranty?
100% carries our warranty. You don't need to register for our warranty. If you have an issue, you don't have to worry about filling in your card and sending it all that nonsense. We've got you covered. As far as availability, it's actually available right now. But they are, I mean, from all the people who've ordered here, I think they're disappearing very quickly. We've got another shipment coming in February with a lot more scopes, and then more shipments coming throughout the year, so we should be able to stay on top of it. But if you're interested, try get in there now because they're disappearing very quickly.
All right, Matt, so we looked at scope, but then I have this second one that's been pointing at me, and it looks a little weird. Almost kind of looks like if I'm looking at, so we're filming with lots of nice camera gear. It almost looks like a smaller aperture than the actual glass. So talk to us about it, and what's it for, and how does it work?
It's a very good question. Not easy to explain in few words, but you're 100% right. It is an aperture ring. You know from working with cameras that a larger aperture means a shallower depth of field. Smaller aperture means greater depth of field. There's obviously benefits to both, depending on what you want to do. If you're shooting field targets, you need that very fine parallax adjustment to range. But a lot of guys, if you're shooting long range or shooting target or shooting PRS, there's no need for that shallow depth of field. You actually might want it longer. So what this does is, while you need the 56mm for low light performance, especially at high magnifications, this allows you to thread in a 40mm aperture ring, which reduces your objective diameter and increases your depth of field. For guys who are shooting long range, this allows you to read mirage a bit better. It allows you to see the mirage and your target in the same focal plane, in that sense, both in focus. If you're shooting target or shooting PRS, allows you to snap and focus a little bit better. The other benefit of this is actually that the light on the edge that comes in the edges of your objective lens has to be bent at a sharper angle, and generally that's the area where, if you're going to see chromatic aberration and other optical imperfections or aberrations, this is where a lot of your problems are going to come in. So having the light only from the center of the objective lens, you will instantly notice that everything just sharpens up and becomes a little bit clearer, especially in a high contrast situation like shooting a white steel gong or shooting a paper target. So although this optical system is fantastic as it is and has almost none of that, this just takes it to another level.
And I guess kind of like, so as the the camera land, when you're looking at lenses and you're doing any type of lens testing, the one thing that people generally accept is the fact that with most lenses, you got to stop them down in order to get them to be the sharpest and in order to cut down the chromatic aberrations. And it's basically the same thing on the scopes. By getting the aperture smaller, it's making it easier for the lens system itself to work easier.
Yeah, it's more versatile. It's imagine only having one aperture setting on your camera. It might be great for one thing, but maybe not so great for another thing. With this, we give you the choice. So you're getting two scopes. You're getting a 6-36 by 56, and you're getting a 6-36 by 40. They'll both perform in slightly different ways, but you decide what you want. It's easy to thread it in and out. It's included with the scope, and it fits right between your sunshade and your scope, so people never even know it's there.
So by going this route, does it change the eye box in any way, the eye box or the eye relief?
No, not really. It's not noticeable at all. I've been using this for a long time with aperturing on. It helps a lot with scope cam filming if you do that.
Okay.
If you're a YouTuber and you film through your scope, it helps a lot. But you won't notice the difference, especially when shooting shooting competition.
And I guess this is going to come with the scope.
It comes with the scope.
Very, very cool. So it's almost kind of like a tiny little sunshade with a holding, almost like you would just screw it on like you would screw on a sunshade.
Exactly. It's threaded on both ends. Okay. So it sits right in the front here, and you can either put it between your scope and the sunshade, or you can put it at the end, or you can put Tenebrex caps, which are aftermarket accessory, on the end, or whatever you want, but it's very, very modular.
Okay. Very, very cool. So we talked about the two new scopes if you're a hunter or a long-range hunter. We talked about the pinnacle scope in the lineup if you're a precision rifle shooter, or I guess even like an extreme rimfire shooter. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something completely weird, and we'll take a look at that next.